Standing at the edge of the cliff, our boy Jaha isn't begging for his life. Instead, he's lost in nostalgia, remembering his old dream of becoming the god of martial arts. But reality is harsh. Despite all his training, he's cornered. The pursuer, the shining guardian, has zero patience for his backstory and just demands the treasure. Knowing he can't win a fair fight, our boy pulls out the heavenly jade and dangles it over the cliff. A classic psychological move to freeze the enemy in their tracks. The guardian tries to get under his skin with insults about his taste in women, but the mad demon deflects it effortlessly. He claims no ordinary woman is worthy of his caliber. Enjoying the tension, he teases them by pretending to drop the jewel. He reminds them exactly who they're dealing with, the infamous mad demon. With the final battle looming, our boy keeps rambling about the emptiness of life. His complete lack of tension is starting to seriously piss off the guardian. It's not just talk though. Jaha has slaughtered over 100 elite cultists during his escape. There's no walking away from this blood debt. Just as the tension peaks for the final showdown, our boy calls a timeout. He drops a bombshell request that ruins the mood completely. He really needs to take a shit. Facing the furious cult leader, our boy pulls out the legendary heavenly jade. But instead of tossing it off the cliff like he threatened, he does the unthinkable. He tosses it right into his own mouth. Gulp. The cultists are absolutely stunned. Not only did he eat their holy artifact, but he also has the nerve to review the flavor, claiming it tastes like peaches. While the villain loses his mind, our boy just smirks, knowing he's won the mental battle. Since the treasure is now inside him, the order changes from kill to capture alive. The minions swarm forward instantly, desperate to cut our boy open and retrieve the jade before he digests it. Even heavily outnumbered, our boy moves with liquid grace. He slides back to create space, then launches into an acrobatic counterattack, weaving through the cultists' blades with desperate precision. It's a brutal dance on the edge of the cliff. Our boy dodges a fatal swing by an inch and retaliates instantly, cutting down the attackers one by one. He might be cornered, but he's certainly not helpless. But the numbers game is catching up to him. A cold blade slips past his defenses, barely missing his throat. He avoids death, but fresh wounds open up beneath his tattered red robes. Using the treacherous terrain to his advantage, our boy lures the clumsy minions to the crumbling edge. With a quick dodge, he watches them lose their footing and plummet to their dooms, thinning the herd the hard way. Watching his men drop like flies, the left guardian has seen enough. He orders the useless minions back and steps forward himself, radiating pure murderous intent. It's time for the boss fight. The guardian lunges with a palm strike glowing with blue energy. Despite being exhausted and cornered, our boy refuses to back down, charging up his own orange energy and taunting the leader to bring it on. As their powers clash, the impact triggers his old injuries, causing him to cough up a massive amount of blood. But pain only fuels his madness. Realizing this is the end, he decides to unleash one final technique to take the bastard down with him. It's the final clash. Our boy throws everything he has into one last punch, but in his critical state, he's overwhelmed. The massive shockwave sends him flying backward, helpless against the impact. The strike shatters the cliff edge, and our boy vanishes into the abyss below. Back on top, the shining guardian survives but isn't unscathed. Clutching a corrupted, purple arm, he collapses in the snow, gasping for air. Staring at the empty cliff, the guardian is fuming. Because even as he fell to his death, our boy didn't show an ounce of fear. Instead, he fell with a smirk, throwing out curses until the very end. That level of pettiness drives the guardian insane, screaming at his men to find the body, no matter what. Despite the rage, he has to admit Jaha's determination to fight until the bitter end was terrifyingly impressive. The scene shifts to the void, where our boy's consciousness drifts in darkness. He starts reviewing his life. Killing so many cultists was definitely a win. But his biggest regret? He spent so much time fighting that he never even got to date a beautiful woman. Just as he's lost in thought, the darkness fades, and a white-haired elder appears before him. Before our boy can figure out if this is heaven or hell, the old man starts interrogating him about why he swallowed the jade of heaven. The elder warns that the jade traps the souls of countless masters, meaning Jaha will be haunted by them. But our boy's logic is built different. He immediately thinks, does that mean free chi for me? The sheer audacity leaves the old man speechless. The atmosphere gets heavy as the elder powers up, demanding the true reason Jaha ate the jade. Facing a being who could wipe out his soul in an instant, our boy just smirks and gives the most honest answer possible. I just didn't want the demon cult leader to have it. Facing the ancient spirit's interrogation, Our boy gives a reason that's purely visceral. He simply hated the cult leader for treating people like trash. Surprisingly, this raw honesty amuses the old master, who decides to grant him one final chance to rewrite his fate. The old master gathers a mysterious red energy in his hands. While he calls it a gift, it's clearly something beyond our boy's current comprehension, and before he can even process what's happening, his consciousness begins to fade. With a sudden gasp, Jaha wakes up from what felt like a nightmare. He pants heavily and looks around, only to realize he's not in hell, but sitting in a humble yet incredibly familiar room. Memories come flooding back. Despite the cold sweat running down his face, he instantly recognizes this place. It's the very inn where he worked during his younger days. After calming himself down a bit, he double-checks his surroundings. This isn't a flashback before death. The tactile reality tells him that everything here is real. Realizing he's back in his 20s, the confusion in our boy's eyes is instantly replaced by pure ecstasy. With memories of his past life, he can start his martial arts training years in advance. In this life, he's going to be stronger than anyone. Just as he's reveling in the joy of rebirth, a sharp pain in his mouth pulls him back to reality. Touching the torn wound, he tries to recall exactly which disastrous day this was. He pushes aside the curtain, and the scene outside is a total disaster zone, with broken tables and chairs everywhere. Seeing this familiar mess, the buried memories finally snap into focus. It was back when he was just a naive waiter. He honestly told the guests he was saving money to hear the courtesan Chaeyang sing, only to be mocked by the bored crowd who spread rumors that he was punching way above his weight. Looking at the absolute wreckage of the inn, reality sets in for our boy. This is the exact night he got beaten half to death, and the place was trashed. Angry as he is, he needs to check his condition first. Our boy sits down immediately and starts channeling the secret arts he mastered in his past life as the Mad Demon. To his absolute shock, a massive amount of chi manifests instantly. He thought he'd have to start from zero, but his body is overflowing with power. As day turns to night, our boy remains in deep meditation. It's strange he knows this technique, but mastering it this quickly in a younger body feels almost too easy. He realizes this must be the power of the jade of heaven he swallowed. Even if it's only half his original strength, it's more than enough. He finally stops when his stomach starts complaining. Now that he's confident in his power, he steps out for a stroll. But the moment he hits the streets, the locals start whispering about the waiter who survived and mocking his audacity. Hearing their mockery and seeing the lit-up pavilion in the distance, buried memories of humiliation start flooding back, fueling his growing rage. It all comes back. He made a simple joke about saving up to see the famous courtesan Chaeyang. For that, the thugs beat him senseless, treating him like dirt. What stings the most is that while he was being beaten like a dog, she didn't show an ounce of pity, just stood there, watching him with cold, mocking eyes. We cut back to a bit earlier, where our boy was getting absolutely jumped by the gang. But as he sits there in pain, something clicks. The memories of the Mad Demon flood back, and he realizes he's been given a second chance. Now that he's back, it's payback time. Our boy walks right up to the thug who beat him, but the guy is clueless, still mocking him and asking for his name like he's nothing. Annoyed by the silence, the thug swings first, but our boy isn't the weak waiter anymore. He counters with a devastating punch that sends the guy flying, standing over him like it was absolutely nothing. Hearing the commotion, another goon rushes out screaming, trying to jump in. Big mistake. Our boy grabs him by the face and slams him into the ground before he can even finish his sentence. After dealing with the trash outside, our boy complains about their lack of hospitality and kicks the front door open. The noise instantly kills the mood inside, and every eye in the room turns to him. Everyone is confused until they recognize the face. It's just the errand boy they usually bully. But seeing that dangerous smirk on his face, they're starting to realize this is definitely not a social call. The guards recognize our boy and mock him for coming back after getting beaten to a pulp recently. They think he's lost his mind and try to block his path. Watching from above, manager Xiangti intervenes. Despite the tension, he orders the guards to treat our boy like a paying customer and let him inside. Reluctantly following orders, the guards escort him through the red corridors. Our boy strolls into the enemy stronghold with the confidence of a king rather than a waiter. Our boy sits down and demands the most expensive booze. The gangster waiter is furious at being ordered around by a lowly errand boy and barely holds back his rage. Instead of backing down, our boy deliberately provokes the waiter with insults. If it weren't for Xiangti's orders, a fight would have broken out right then and there. As the drinks arrive, A woman steps forward to pour. Our boy eyes the alcohol critically and casually demands to see Chae-yang, acting like he owns the place. Instead of getting angry at his rude demands, the server simply agrees to pass the message along. Her calm demeanor hints that she's used to dealing with trouble. Left alone, our boy takes a sip and immediately scowls. He realizes they served him watered-down trash, thinking he wouldn't know the difference. Big mistake. Suddenly, the scarred gangster from before storms in, looking for a fight. Instead of flinching, our boy calmly invites him to sit down for a drink, completely unfazed. While the thug screams and threatens him, our boy just calmly pours himself a drink. Furious at being ignored, the guy slams the table, demanding attention. The thug makes the mistake of reaching out, and our boy instantly crushes his wrist. While the guy sweats in agony, our protagonist just smirks, barely breaking a sweat. Chae-yang walks in just in time to see the aftermath. Our boy decides he's bored with the thug and casually dismisses him, telling him to leave before things get worse. Although the thug is gone, Chae-yang looks serious. She warns our boy that he's in deep trouble with the gang and reminds him that the wine acts as a hefty bill. Our boy drops the jokes and gets serious. He clarifies that he never saw her as someone who sells her body, but as a true entertainer, demanding respect. Chae-yang is completely stunned. She realizes that unlike other men, this crazy waiter actually respects her profession, leaving her momentarily speechless. Just as the mood settles, the door is kicked open. The thug is back with armed backup, and it looks like the peaceful drink is officially over. The red-robed thugs are itching for a fight and want to take it outside to avoid a mess. But our boy Jaha? He's completely unbothered, insisting he needs to finish his wine first, which only makes them angrier. Ignoring the murderous intent filling the room, Jaha toys with his cup and drops a casual reality check. Everyone is always so confident they can kill me. Ever notice that? This arrogance just cracks them up. The thugs burst into mocking laughter, convinced Jaha is just a brain-damaged fool who doesn't understand his position. They treat him like a complete joke. Jaha even has the nerve to offer them a drink amidst their mockery. When ignored, he pours one for himself, takes a sip, and immediately complains about the quality, treating this standoff like a bad restaurant review. The lead thug can't wrap his head around it. The confusion turns to pure rage as he slams the table, demanding to know why our boy is so relaxed when he's about to die. Weapons are finally drawn. But instead of fear, Jaha starts giggling uncontrollably. The thugs join in with maniacal laughter, thinking they're about to slaughter a madman, unaware the predator is actually sitting right there. As they lunge in for the kill, Jaha makes his move. In a split second, the banquet table becomes a weapon. He flips the entire spread, sending food flying and crushing the attackers under the heavy wood. The laughter stops instantly. With the thugs pinned and groaning under the debris, Jaha hops on top of the overturned table. Looking down at his friends, he delivers the final punchline. Am I still a joke to you now? The purple-haired lady was sitting calmly 1 second, and the next, she snaps, slamming the table and screaming at the disrespect shown to her. Turns out, they tried to serve her cheap, trash wine. Our boy watches as she lectures them, warning that while she usually doesn't hit civilians, they're really testing her patience. Since she won't dirty her hands, our boy steps in. He pins the guys down into the broken glass, asking with a twisted grin why they aren't laughing anymore. The party is over though. Heavy footsteps announce the arrival of backup. A white-haired elder walks in with the rest of the gang, and he does not look happy about the mess. Seeing his men crushed, the elder asks if Jaha has lost his mind and threatens him with death. But Jaha? He just looks confused, like the concept of dying is a joke to him. Jaha has the audacity to smirk, which snaps the old man's last nerve. The elder lunges into attack, but our boy is faster, smashing a ceramic jar directly into his face. That hit connected perfectly. The elder stumbles back, blood pouring down his face, as his panicked minions rush in to catch him before he falls. Jaha stands tall in the wreckage, casually challenging anyone else to step up, while the humiliated leader can only glare through the blood and whisper his name. As Seonti reaches for his blade, our boy stops him cold with a stare that screams death. The warning is simple, but terrifying enough to make a seasoned fighter hesitate. Pointing to the bodies already hitting the floor, our boy makes it clear this wasn't luck. His eyes start glowing with that signature madness, forcing the opponent to choose between his pride and his life. Realizing he's completely outmatched, the white-haired fighter wisely decides that living is better than dying. He signals his men to back off, de-escalating the situation before heads start rolling. Now that the swords are away, it's time to talk business. Our boy casually demands a drink and an apology for an old friend, acting like he didn't just threaten to massacre everyone in the room. While nursing his bleeding eye and worrying about his fallen subordinates, Seonti is trying to figure our guy out. The sudden switch from killer to casual guest is more unsettling than the fight itself. Only our boy could go from a death match to a tea party in 10 seconds. They take a seat at the table, leaving the baffled opponent with no choice but to play along with this absurdity. Our guy immediately complains that the wine tastes cheaper than before. The host tries to make up some excuse about profit margins, but it's clear he's just serving the budget stuff. After downing a shot to calm his nerves, Seonti finally asks the million-dollar question. He's trying to understand how a simple waiter suddenly became a martial arts monster. Seonti tries to save face with a lame excuse about holding back because of his grandfather, but our boy isn't buying it. Jaha's patience is wearing thin with these ridiculous lies. Tired of the talk, our boy flexes a bit of his internal energy. Realizing the massive gap in their strength, Seonti immediately slams his head on the floor in a terrified apology. Just then, Chae-hyang walks in and freezes. She can't believe her eyes. Her powerful boss, Seonti, is kneeling on the floor in total submission to a lowly waiter. Seonti snaps at Chae-hyang to pull herself together before she makes things worse. The tension in the room is so thick that she's visibly shaking, completely overwhelmed by fear. Terrified and acting on pure instinct, her trembling hands pour a drink for Jaha. Our boy just stares at her coldly, wondering what exactly she thinks she's doing since he never asked for service. To get her out of harm's way, Jaha decides to put on a ruthless act. He coldly tells her that even waiters have feelings, but he has never felt anything for her, effectively rejecting her on the spot. The act works a little too well. Heartbroken and humiliated, Chae-hyang bursts into tears and runs out of the room. It was harsh, but it got her away from the danger immediately. With the room cleared, Jaha drops the act and turns his cold gaze back to Seonti. He demands respect, and seeing the power in Jaha's eyes, Seonti realizes he has no choice but to submit completely. Manager Byok is acting surprisingly polite, pouring drinks and bowing his head. Our boy plays along, knowing that this quiet drink is just the calm before the storm. Manager Byok starts explaining the local politics, sweating bullets as he mentions that any new faction needs the Black Rabbit clan's approval to survive in Ilyang. Instead of bowing down to the local bosses, our boy suggests a simple alternative: just force the Joe brothers to work for him. Byok looks completely baffled by this insane logic. Our boy drops the bomb. He's starting his own sect tomorrow morning. He gives Byok a clear choice: bet on the established gangs, or take a gamble on the new boss in town. As our boy walks away, Byok is left in shock, wondering what kind of waiter talks about taking over the underworld like it's a grocery run. Byok tries to warn him one last time about the beating waiting outside, but our guy just waves him off and coolly tells him to put the drinks on his tab. Stepping out, he finds a welcoming committee of red-robed thugs blocking his path. Instead of flinching, he simply orders the punks to get out of his way. A familiar face emerges from the crowd, the bandaged thug from earlier. The moment he spots our errand boy, he loses his temper completely, ready for a rematch. The thug swings a furious punch, aiming to crush our boy's face. But in the blink of an eye, the attacker is the one lying broken on the stairs, while our guy barely broke a sweat. Leaving a trail of unconscious bodies in his wake, our boy waves a cheerful goodbye to the decimated Black Rabbit crew. It seems he truly enjoyed disciplining them. Knowing that fists alone won't be enough for the main boss fight, he heads to the Dragonhead Forge under the cover of night. It's time to gear up properly. He immediately runs into an acquaintance, the apprentice blacksmith Yongge. The guy clearly hasn't heard the news and starts mocking our boy about getting beat up recently, unaware that Jaha is built different now. Ignoring the trash talk, our boy orders some sharp daggers. The blacksmith is skeptical but orders his men to bring out the dragon set, while taking a cheap shot at Jaha's terrible cooking skills. The weapons look solid, but the price tag of 90 Niang hits harder than a punch. Even with a so-called local discount, it's way out of a waiter's budget. So, our guy proposes a genius business model: renting the weapons for 50 Niang and returning them after the fight. The blacksmith is visibly confused by this audacity. Suddenly, the head blacksmith steps in. Hearing that Jaha is going to war, he decides to help out of respect for Jaha's grandfather, while making sure to remind our boy that his cooking still sucks. While the Black Sea Wolf offers to step in and mediate the upcoming conflict, our boy politely declines. He's got a plan, and he doesn't need a babysitter. Here comes the pitch. Jaha proposes uniting the local forges into a single sect to stop the Black Rabbit clan from draining them dry. No bribes, no hierarchy, just honest work. The Sea Wolf thinks the plan sounds sloppy, but he has to admit it takes guts to suggest something so bold. When asked for a name, our boy doesn't hesitate. He christens this revolutionary group the Low Down. Simple, dirty, and straight to the point. The Sea Wolf finds it hilarious that an errand boy has such big dreams. He makes a deal. Survive the Joe brothers first, and then maybe they can talk business. As night falls, our boy doesn't keep his enemies waiting. A sudden projectile cuts through the air, signaling that he has arrived at the scene. Outside the inn, the goons are busy digging graves presumably for Jaha. Sitting there waiting for him is the second of the Joe brothers. The guy acts tough, calmly inviting Jaha to sit down after digging his grave. He slams his knife into the table, thinking he's the one in charge here. The scene shifts to the Black Rabbit leader, who was actually having a great day. He and his brothers had just secured approval to start a new sect and were feeling pretty good about their future. But then, our errand boy Jaha had to go and ruin everything at the brothel. Still acting high and mighty, the leader demands Jaha give him 3 reasons why he shouldn't be killed immediately. Seeing Jaha laugh in his face, the leader loses his temper and lunges. But our boy is way faster. Before the villain can even process what's happening, Jaha strikes with terrifying speed. The tables turn instantly. Gripping his sword, Jaha throws the question right back at the sweating leader, demanding one good reason why he should let him live instead. Without waiting for an answer, Jaha cheerfully says congratulations and immediately slashes across the leader's face. If he can't speak up fast enough, a little blood might help motivate him. Jaha slams the guy down and demands to know what the hole outside was for. The leader, trembling in pain, tries to claim it was just a threat, but our boy knows a lie when he hears one. To speed things up, Jaha twirls his dagger menacingly while listing the gang's crimes. Between buying and selling people, it's becoming really hard to find a reason to spare this guy's life. Remembering the innocent people these scumbags killed, Jaha's eyes go cold. The leader tries to stammer out a threat about the consequences, but our boy cuts him off before he can finish the sentence. Our boy gave him a chance to talk his way out of it, but since he chose to threaten him instead, the negotiation ended abruptly. One strike is all it took to pin the guy and his ego permanently to the table. While the boss is already cooling down inside, his minions are still diligently digging a grave outside. Our boy has to shout just to get their attention, leaving them completely confused about why their construction work is being interrupted. When asked who he is, our boy casually drops that he's just an errand boy. The contrast between his deadly aura and his job title is so terrifying that these guys rip off their masks in sheer panic. Finding out they're just rookies new to town, our boy decides to be generous. He gives them a simple choice: die right here, or bury their boss's body in that hole and go back home. Realizing they've been spared, the goons are practically begging to leave. Our boy flicks the blood off his blade and tells them to clean up the mess and vanish forever. Before leaving, our boy's chaotic mind jumps to cooking noodles. He asks if they can cook, but seeing their utterly confused faces, he decides to just let them figure out their own lives. Dealing with the grunts outside, our boy heads back inside, only to find the one-eyed strategist waiting for him. Gunpyeong is sharp enough to know that if our boy is walking in, his former boss is definitely dead. Gunpyeong reveals his eye injury was just a fake-out to survive the internal power struggles. Our boy isn't even surprised. In this cutthroat world, playing the cripple is just another valid survival strategy. With the immediate threat gone, the conversation shifts to the remaining brothers of the clan. Our boy's expression turns ice cold. He intends to wipe out the entire corrupt family before they can drain the town dry. Gunpyeong tries to warn our boy about the dangerous Black Sea Wolf, but Jaha has his priorities straight. He just wants some snacks for his booze, leaving Gunpyeong completely baffled. Finding out the inn is broke and foodless, Jaha tosses a couple of coins and orders a feast, casually complaining about the establishment's standards while planning for leftovers. Gunpyeong stands there confused until Jaha yells a name. Turns out, he wasn't talking to Gunpyeong at all. He was barking orders at Seongti outside. Poor Seongti is sprinting through the night, furious that his life as a gangster has been reduced to running errands for a madman. In no time at all, a massive feast is laid out on the table. Seongti's delivery skills are honestly top-notch. As they dig in, our boy casually reminds Gunpyeong that this meal was funded by his past crimes of exploiting women, making sure every bite comes with a side of guilt. That comment kills the mood instantly. Gunpyeong freezes, unable to eat another bite, while Jaha happily gulps down his drink and asks why he stopped. Jaha sighs and gets to the point. He admits he's pissed, but mostly because Gunpyeong is wasting time worrying instead of training to get stronger. The tattooed guy finally snaps. He slams the table, realizing our boy isn't just some crazy waiter, and demands to know who he really is and what he's actually planning. One cold threat from our boy shuts that tantrum down immediately. Realizing he has no choice, the guy Seonti sighs and resigns himself to the task, getting rid of the Black Rabbit clan trash. Strategy time. While Seonti wants to go after the easy targets first, our boy points out the real threat is the missing brother Sampyeong. Seonti assures him he can handle it when the time comes. Seonti starts bragging about his legendary ambush skills and formally introduces himself. Our boy, clearly unimpressed, cuts through the nonsense and demands a simple answer: can you do the job or not? Now comes the hard part. Our boy lays down the new rules. No more scams, treat the workers fairly, and let them leave if they want. Seonti balks, claiming running an ethical brothel is basically impossible. Our boy doesn't care about difficult. He gives Seonti a stark choice: fix the mess or join the dead brothers. Seonti, stressed out by the constant death threats, starts whining about just retiring to the mountains instead. Just as Seonti is about to quit, our boy casually drops the bait. He was planning to give Seonti full control of the businesses. Suddenly, retirement is off the table, and Seonti is back on board. Deal sealed. Our boy downs the rest of his drink and stands up to leave, the conversation effectively over, leaving his new subordinate confused by the sudden exit. Since he needs to infiltrate a high-class establishment, his current rags just won't cut it. Our boy decides to borrow the outfit right off this guy's back, ignoring the poor victim's protests that this is technically robbery. The victim tries to stall by critiquing our boy's fashion sense, claiming the clothes won't work anyway, but our guy isn't interested in a fashion consultation and keeps stripping him down. Clothes really do make the man. Once our boy ties up his hair and puts on the stolen robes, the transformation is stunning. Even the victim has to admit he looks surprisingly sharp. Feeling a bit too comfortable, the guy starts cracking jokes about our boy's usual homeless look. Our guy immediately shuts that down with a swift smack to the head to remind him who's in charge. With the disguise complete, our boy heads out. As soon as he's gone, the victim drops the polite act and curses him out. Meanwhile, our boy arrives at the heavily guarded Pear Blossom Pavilion. Approaching the guards, our boy boldly claims to be from the Black Rabbit clan and demands to see their leader. The guards are suspicious of this stranger and start asking too many questions. Instead of explaining himself, our guy delivers a vicious slap across the guard's face. By acting completely arrogant and offended, he tricks them into thinking he's too important to be questioned. The aggressive bluff works perfectly. Too scared to ask further questions, the guards open the gates and usher this terrifying VIP into the main hall. Our boy strolled right into the enemy base and made himself comfortable in the boss's chair, casually critiquing the furniture like he owns the place. The actual boss walks in to find a stranger occupying his throne. He's more confused than angry, trying to process the sheer audacity of our guy who questions him instead. After a bit of back and forth, realization dawns on him. This isn't just any intruder, it's that lowly waiter from the inn, smiling back at him with zero fear. The guy boasts that his brother went to take care of our boy, but Jaha hits him with a cold reality check. He's only alive because that brother is already dead. Refusing to believe a mere waiter killed his brother, the guy demands answers. Jaha calmly explains that the brother was digging his own grave, so he just helped him fill it. Blinded by rage, the enemy leader lunges forward. But looking at our boy's cold, glowing eyes, it's clear this attack was a massive mistake. It's over in a split second. With a single strike, our boy sends him flying across the room, turning the furious attacker into a heap on the floor. Trembling on the floor, the guy realizes his internal energy is gone. He stares up in horror, finally understanding that this waiter is actually a monster in disguise. Our boy doesn't hesitate. If the opponent isn't going to make a move, he will. With a cold declaration, he lunges forward, closing the distance before the enemy can even react. It's a brutal, one-sided beatdown. Our boy slams him into the ground with enough force to shatter the floorboards, leaving the enemy buried in the debris. While his opponent coughs up blood and struggles to move, our guy stands there looking barely winded. The difference in skill level is just cruel. The beaten thug can't believe it and asks where he learned to fight like that. But our boy has zero patience for questions, grabbing him by the throat to shut him up. What really ticks him off is the hypocrisy. He's disgusted by the logic that a murderous criminal can know martial arts, but a humble errand boy isn't allowed to. Tired of the conversation, our guy delivers one final, decisive slam to the ground, silencing the hypocrite for good. Thunder rumbles outside as the rest of the gang finally arrives. They freeze at the end of the hallway, shocked to find their comrades lying in a pool of blood and debris. Facing the mob, our boy doesn't flinch. He calmly mocks their late arrival, standing amidst the wreckage while the gang members try to process the situation. Our guy warns them to move if they want to live. But instead of attacking, the nervous gang members start whispering, realizing this terrifying warrior looks exactly like the inn's waiter. Instead of denying it, our boy turns around with a cold, confident smirk. He confirms their suspicions perfectly. That's right, I am the errand boy. The goons show up looking for revenge, but one cold glare from our boy, and they instantly crumble. They haven't even drawn their weapons, and they're already terrified. When they stammer out a question about why he killed their boss, our boy answers so casually it's unsettling. It's clear that to him, their leader was nothing more than a pest. Leaving the goons trembling, our boy heads back inside, only to be stopped by a shocked Seonti. He can't wrap his head around how someone could kill a gang leader without getting a single drop of blood on their clothes. Instead of explaining his techniques, our boy just tells Seonti to clean up the mess and walks away. Poor Seonti is left fuming, realizing he's effectively been demoted to a janitor. Finally alone, our boy settles into train. His current body might be weak, but with the memories of his past life, he's progressing at a speed that defies common sense. Days and nights blur together. While the outside world is buzzing with rumors about the killer waiter, the man himself remains in total isolation, focused solely on his cultivation. The hard work pays off. He breaks through his limits, and the manifesting energy in his palm confirms he's reached the fiery foul stage much faster than expected. There is one side effect, though the impurities expelled from his body have made the room smell absolutely terrible. But to our boy, that stench is just the sweet smell of success. Just as our boy tries to head back inside for a break, he's hit by a wall of absolute stench. He turns to see his guest sweating profusely and looking utterly miserable. Turns out the laxatives finally kicked in right in the guy's pants. Our boy nearly passes out from the smell, screaming at him to take his business outside immediately. After ejecting the walking biohazard, our boy finally settles into a hot bath. As the steam rises, he takes a moment to wash away the stress of the day. He doesn't let up on the smelly guy either, barking at him to drop the knife and scrub himself clean before he stinks up the entire place. His peace is interrupted when Chae-Yang enters with a towel. She awkwardly announces she is here to help him bathe, leaving our boy completely confused by this unexpected service. Realizing this was Seonti's idea, our boy immediately shuts it down. He sternly refuses her help, reminding her that if she claims to be an entertainer and not a whore, she needs to respect herself. After sending her away, he curses Seonti under his breath. The guy is a capable underling, but his misguided attempts to suck up are creating more awkward situations than actual help. Before leaving, Chae-Yang asks why someone so strong allowed himself to be beaten before. Our boy just smirks, dropping a bit of twisted wisdom. You have to take a beating before you can get revenge. Our boy is enjoying a nice bath, casually roasting the enemy's honey trap attempts, claiming they failed simply because the women weren't up to his standards. He continues his lecture on quality control while soaking, completely relaxed, looking more like a grumpy critic than a martial arts master. Suddenly, Seonti bursts in screaming about a fire. Our boy is dismissive at first, until he realizes it's his inn that's currently up in flames. Outside, the inn is blazing. A gang of thugs stands guard, with their leader threatening death to anyone who dares help the errand boy. But the intimidation is cut short when someone points out the irony. He just set fire to the place where his own brother is buried. The leader instantly loses his cool. Our boy steps out, still wet from his bath, genuinely confused by their logic. Burning down a building just to find one person seems a bit excessive, even for villains. The leader brought a mysterious expert for backup, but the guy takes one look at our waiter protagonist and feels insulted, refusing to dirty his hands on a nobody. The expert doubles down on the disrespect, telling the leader to handle it himself or join his dead brothers. Now the guy is sweating bullets, forced to fight alone. Seeing the internal conflict, our boy happily accepts the duel. He lays down the terms, one-on-one, and the loser burns to death with the inn. The leader, Jiziak, isn't in a rush to help. Instead, he decides to play spectator, curious to see if this bold, errand boy actually has the skills to back up his attitude. His opponent is furious, unable to understand how his brother's lost to a mere waiter. He's cursing up a storm, but seeing the calm look in our boy's eyes, he's starting to realize he might be out of his league. Our boy doesn't even bother drawing a weapon, delivering the ultimate insult. I won't need a sword against someone like you. That level of disrespect hits harder than a punch. Enraged, the guy swings his blade. But our boy counters instantly, meeting the attack with a devastating punch. One clean hit, and the loudmouth is sent flying across the battlefield. Looking down at his defeated opponent, our boy adds insult to injury with a casual shrug. Down already? I wasn't even using my full strength. The guy tries for one last desperate strike, but it's hopeless. To our boy, he's moving in slow motion. Before he can even land a hit, a cold blade is already pressed against his throat. Go join your brothers. With that whisper, our boy finishes the job. A clean slash ends the fight instantly, ridding the town of this nuisance for good. As the body hits the ground, the watching gang members are stunned into silence. Who could have guessed the humble and waiter was actually a ruthless killer in disguise? Watching his subordinate fall, Jiziak stays surprisingly calm, offering a quick compliment before trying to leave. But our boy isn't letting him walk away that easily. Where do you think you're going? Halt. This Black Sea Wolf lackey clearly feels disrespected. Without realizing how out of his depth he is, he draws his blade, ready to teach our boy a lesson. But our boy isn't here to chat. Before the guy can even finish his sentence, Jaha launches himself forward, that signature crazy look in his eyes. Using the momentum, he leaps into the air and brings his sword down hard. The strike is so heavy the enemy is forced onto the back foot immediately. The villain isn't going down without a fight though. He grits his teeth, tanks the hit, and throws a heavy punch powered by internal energy to push Jaha back. But that telegraphed attack hits nothing but air. With a flash of his red eyes, Jaha moves with unnatural speed, blurring right past the guy's defense. It's over in a split second. Before the enemy even realizes what happened, a fatal slash bursts through him. Blood sprays, and just like that, another villain hits the dirt. The fight is over, but the fire is raging. Jaha stands amidst the flames and smoke, sword in hand over the fallen body, looking absolutely terrifying to the onlookers. The crowd is frozen in shock. This eye patch guy can't believe his eyes watching a powerful gang leader get taken out so easily has him sweating bullets. While everyone is still trying to process who this monster is, Jaha turns his cold gaze toward the rest of the gang members standing nearby. Jaha corners the arsonists amidst the flames, calmly demanding to know why they burned his house. While they beg for mercy, his sheer presence is enough to make them regret everything. Seonti interrupts the tense moment with a ridiculous excuse, claiming the inn smelled so bad that he also fought the urge to burn it down, trying to defuse the situation with sarcasm. Jaha shoots him a dangerous glare, half joking about killing him too. But he pivots quickly, deciding to force these terrified men to rebuild the inn instead of slaughtering them. Realizing he's being spared, Seonti immediately starts planning the reconstruction. If they're going to rebuild, they might as well expand, designing a two-story structure with a fortified perimeter. Seonti sees right through Jaha's plan. This isn't just a hotel, it's a martial arts training hall disguised as an inn. He agrees to build the Jaha in training hall. Looking out over the ruins, Seonti worries about retaliation from the Black Rabbit clan. Jaha, however, dismisses the threat entirely, confident he can crush them if they try anything. Jaha officially names their new alliance the Lowdown. He claims it's just for making a living, but he's secretly recreating the legendary organization from his past life. Accepting the new hierarchy, Seonti asks if he should address Jaha as master now. Our boy responds casually, leaving the choice up to him. The banter fades as Seonti gets serious. He realizes this isn't the Jaha he used to know and finally asks the question haunting him. Why did Jaha spare his life back then? Our boy is deep in meditation, desperately attempting to build up his chi. He knows every drop counts if he wants to survive this time around, channeling his past life's techniques into his current, weaker body. But there's no time to rest. Seonti interrupts with bad news. The Black Rabbit clan has arrived to ask questions about the thugs our boy killed earlier. Jaha opens his eyes, revealing a glimmer of red. He's not panicked. In fact, he looks ready to face whatever trouble is waiting for him outside. As they walk to the meeting room, Seonti is sweating bullets, rambling about how dangerous these guys are. Meanwhile, our boy is strolling down the hall like he doesn't have a care in the world. Seeing his subordinate trembling, Jaha stops and gives him a look that cuts through the fear. He assures him with absolute confidence. Don't worry. I'm certainly not going to die today. Seonti shows him into the room and promptly shuts the door, leaving our boy alone with the guests, who still mistakenly think they're the ones in charge here. The two envoys introduce themselves with fancy titles, expecting fear. Instead, they get annoyed when our guy just sits down casually, looking at them like they're boring him. Jaha admits to the killings instantly. Then, with a straight face, he asks if these guys are grieving relatives, completely mocking their attempt at intimidation and confusing the hell out of them. These tax collectors can't believe our boy's attitude. They're thinking he's arrogant for taking out the Joe brothers, assuming he must have some secret backing. But Jaha catches them whispering and tells them to cut the act and speak up. They try to intimidate him by dropping the Black Rabbit clan's name, warning him of the consequences. Instead of being scared, our boy just gives them a knowing smirk, cutting right through their threats to ask if they're just fishing for a bribe. Deciding to switch gears, Jaha calls out for Miss Sun. He loudly orders her to bring out the cheapest, nastiest dukong wine they have, treating these esteemed guests to the bottom of the barrel. Miss Sun's expression says it all. Clearly offended by the order, she sarcastically agrees to fetch the bottom shelf stuff, radiating pure hostility, as she bows and walks away. The collectors try to steer the conversation back to business, refusing the drink. That's the last straw for our boy. He slams the table, his friendly demeanor vanishing instantly as he asks if they're trying to pick a fight. The sudden outburst leaves the men sweating and terrified. Jaha leans in, his eyes glowing with dangerous intent, and asks the only question that matters. Do they think their precious clan can save them right now? He lets the reality sink in. He's already killed their predecessors, so he clearly doesn't fear the consequences. The collectors realize they are trapped in a room with a maniac, and their distant backup is useless. Just as the tension reaches its peak, heavy footsteps approach the room. Jaha casually remarks that it sounds like someone is coming to fight to the death, adding one final layer of terror for his guests. Meanwhile, these guys are actually celebrating the death of the Joe brothers. They think this chaos is their golden ticket to getting good with the Black Rabbit clan, laughing it up without realizing they're next on the chopping block. Back with our boy, Seonti, in red, is confused about why Jaha let the witnesses go. Jaha explains the 4D chess. Killing them would trigger an immediate war with the Black Rabbit clan, and he's not trying to draw out the leader of the 12 heavenly generals just yet. Jaha immediately pivots to business, collect the loot and start managing the finances. He promotes Seonti to manager of the load down on the spot, but adds a friendly disclaimer: embezzle funds, and you get the death penalty. Because, frankly, he is the law. Jaha strolls off looking pleased with his new HR policies, leaving Seonti sweating bullets. He realizes his promotion just means a much harder life working for a total lunatic. Shit, indeed. After dealing with his subordinates, Jaha heads to the Chunyang restaurant for a meal. The staff doesn't seem surprised to see him, casually offering him a hearty bowl as if he didn't just massacre a local gang. As he eats, the conversation turns to the elephant in the room. Everyone's worried that killing the Joe brothers will bring hell down on the town. But Jaha is calm. He calculates that since he started this mess, the Black Rabbit clan will focus their rage solely on him. Inside the peaceful inn, Gunpyeong still finds it hard to believe that this petty waiter, currently trying to scam a free lunch, is the same monster who wiped out the Joe brothers. As Seonti serves the noodles, the topic shifts to the low-down sect. When Seonti claims he never joined, our boy casually informs him that everyone he knows is already a member whether they like it or not. The peaceful meal is interrupted by a cold voice from the courtyard. A mysterious figure stands in the pouring rain, calling our boy out by name. Instead of rushing into battle, our boy complains about his back hurting in the rain. But with everyone watching, he finally sighs and grabs his sword to deal with the nuisance. Stepping into the heavy downpour, the tension is palpable. The stranger demands to know if Jaha killed Jiziak Nung. Our boy plays dumb for a second before casually admitting he remembers the guy. The assassin introduces himself as CNUY. The name instantly triggers our boy's past life memories. He killed this guy in his previous timeline, and seeing this younger version confirms trouble is brewing. When asked for a motive, Jaha gives a simple, honest answer: he burned down my house. The assassin finds it a valid reason, but one that Jaha will have to pay for with his life. The jokes stop here. With his eyes glowing red, our boy drops the clown act and stares down the assassin, making it clear that he won't be giving up a single hair on his head. The talk is over. Under the cover of thunder, the enemy launches a surprise attack. Our boy plants his feet in the mud and blocks the heavy strike, sparking the beginning of a bloody duel in the rain. In the pouring rain, the bald enemy attacks fiercely, but his eyes betray his true intent. He's waiting for his partner to ambush. Our boy sees right through it, stomping the ground to signal he's ready for whatever dirty trick comes next. Suddenly, a one-eyed guy in a red robe charges in, screaming our boy's name. But the rain has other plans. He immediately slips on the wet pavement, ruining what could have been a cool entrance. While effortlessly parrying the bald guy's attacks, our boy casually warns the newcomer, "Watch out, there's another one." Right on cue, the hidden assassin strikes, shocking the one-eyed guy. The one-eyed guy is shaken, but our boy just smirks. The enemies finally realize the terrifying truth. Jaha knew about the ambush from the very start and was just playing along. Now that the cards are on the table, the one-eyed guy decides to jump in. Yelling about making this a fair 2-on-2 fight, he targets the bald enemy, swearing to split his head open first. He talked a big game, but reality hits hard. The bald enemy counters with a heavy swing, and the one-eyed guy gets swatted down instantly, crashing onto the wet pavement in total embarrassment. Our boy stares down at his teammate playing dead in the mud and isn't buying it for a second. He tells him to cut the terrible acting and get up already. They stand up, shaking off the water and mud. His partner is still trying to justify the failed plan, insisting they would have fooled everyone if it wasn't for the rain. The bald villain is furious that they're completely ignoring him. To make matters worse, our boy starts roasting him, loudly wondering if his head gets cold in the rain without hair. That insult is the last straw. The villain snaps and lunges with a scream, but our guy's teammate is ready and blocks the angry strike just in time. Sparks fly as blades clash in the pouring rain. Despite the slippery ground, they hold their own against the enraged attacker with sharp movements. Amidst the chaos, our boy pauses. He realizes this is the first time since his rebirth that he's felt this kind of rush. He starts grinning maniacally, which totally freaks out the enemy. Embracing the thrill, he tightens his grip on the sword. The playful vibe vanishes instantly, replaced by a terrifying aura as he prepares to get serious. The blade ignites with a sinister red glow, stunning the onlookers. Our boy Jaha locks eyes with his opponent, signaling that the final clash is imminent. Without a word, they explode into action. Jaha's movement is ghost-like as his red blade tears through the darkness, clashing head-on with his enemy. As his eye glows crimson, Jaha spots a fatal opening. With one swift strike, he cuts through his opponent's defense, leaving the man to collapse silently into the mud. The battle is over. His ally tries to offer a compliment, but our boy ignores it completely. Jaha simply orders him to clean up the mess and walks away. Watching from the shadows, the manager is terrified. He realizes the shocking truth. The infamous Joe brothers have been completely wiped out by Jaha. Soaking in the bath, Jaha finally looks serious. He realizes that killing enemies early has accelerated the timeline, bringing dangerous threats to his doorstep much sooner. The noise outside suddenly stops, putting our boy on high alert. Two swordsmen burst in, and he immediately recognizes them as the managers he saw earlier at the bathhouse. They launch a coordinated attack, but our boy isn't impressed. Dodging their blades, he rushes in barehanded, grabs them both by the hair, and slams their heads together with brutal force. Standing over the defeated assassins, a dark thought crosses our boy's mind. Since these were Seonti's men, did he order the hit? His eyes glow red with killing intent at the mere possibility of betrayal. He corners a survivor, demanding to know where Seonti is. The guy is absolutely terrified, trembling uncontrollably, and unable to give a straight answer to our boy's icy interrogation. Stepping out into the pouring rain, our boy makes a grim decision. He doesn't know how involved Seonti is, but if his subordinate dares to turn a blade against him, he won't hesitate to kill him. Screaming Seonti's name, our boy leaps into the courtyard below. As he lands amidst the splashing rain, he realizes he's standing in a graveyard of bodies from a fresh, brutal battle. Through the rain, he spots Seonti bloody, exhausted, and surrounded by enemies. Realizing his subordinate was fighting against the attackers, our boy's killing intent vanishes as he casually greets the battered man. In the pouring rain, the battered Gunpyeong thinks he's done for until he spots our boy standing there. Desperate and bleeding, he swallows his pride and screams for help from the very man he used to call an enemy. But our boy just stands there smiling, hand on his sword, seemingly enjoying the show. His calm demeanor absolutely infuriates Gunpyeong, who screams through the rain, wondering if Jaha is there to save him or just to mock his misery. The assassins surrounding Gunpyeong are actually trembling with fear just looking at our boy. Since they hesitate, Jaha casually provokes them, forcing the terrified mob to suppress their fear and charge at him all at once. Against the rushing mob, our boy doesn't even need to draw his blade. He moves with terrifying speed, delivering precise strikes before unleashing a burst of internal energy that blows everyone away like leaves in a storm. The thugs who were shouting threats a moment ago are now scattered across the wet tiles, completely unconscious. In a split second, the chaotic courtyard is reduced to silence, save for the sound of falling rain. With the danger gone, Gunpyeong gasps for air, feeling a mix of relief and confusion. He asks if our boy came specifically to save him, only to get a cold, one-word answer, no. Our boy bluntly admits he actually planned to kill Gunpyeong too, assuming he was part of the ambush. Terrified, Gunpyeong frantically explains that he was betrayed by his own men while taking a bath, proving he's definitely not on their side. Seeing Gunpyeong's pathetic state, our boy accepts the logic. Nobody gets beaten this badly just for an act. Looking at the bodies of these ordinary men, Jaha's smile fades as he briefly reflects on the endless cycle of violence. It's a grim, rainy night. Someone made the mistake of messing with the inn's errand boy. To set the tone, our boy personally handles the cleanup, warning his subordinate that they need to make a statement so terrifying that no one dares cross them again. Leaving the carnage behind, our boy casually walks away, complaining, "Ugh, I already took a bath today." For him, the bloodbath is just an inconvenience to his hygiene routine. Fast forward 1 month. Construction is underway, and while our boy has been training, he's noticing that the renovation progress is dragging slower than he'd like. Impatient with the pace, our boy demands answers. The manager explains that simply adding more bodies won't help with a project of this scale, but reveals he's hired a new expert to lead the construction. Right on cue, the new architectural head, Jae-Yun, arrives. Just by his confident stride and aura, you can tell this guy knows his craft. Hearing the name, our boy's eyes light up. He recognizes Jae-Yun from his past life, a legendary craftsman famous in the underworld. He can't believe his luck. After introductions, the architect reveals his motivation: tax exemptions and promotions promised by the higher-ups. He vows to transform this place into something magnificent. But to get the job done quickly, the architect asks for a favor. He wants to set up temporary barracks nearby, hinting that the workers need some specific motivation. Our boy gets it immediately and flashes that signature creepy smile. He orders Seongti to round up the girls from the local entertainment houses every night to keep the workers happy and motivated. Our boy is checking in with the blacksmith master to smooth things over regarding his new recruits. The master seems more than happy to let his workers join our guy's cause, thinking it's a great opportunity for them. To show his support, the master offers to craft a special weapon for our boy as a gift. Jaha's eyes light up immediately. He was just thinking about getting some new gear. However, Jaha has specific tastes. When the master admits he can't make a legendary sword, our boy gets intensely serious, explaining that he doesn't need something fancy or sharp, but purely functional. He describes exactly what he wants. No sharp edges, regardless of weight, it just needs to be indestructible. The blacksmith finally realizes that our boy is basically asking for an unbreaking metal club to beat people with. Deal sealed. Our boy walks away in a great mood, probably already fantasizing about testing out his new persuasion stick on some unlucky enemies. His good mood doesn't last long though. On his way back, 2 serious-looking guys block his path. They definitely look like trouble as they step up and ask for his name. Recognizing a trap, our boy pulls his classic move. He instantly lies, saying nope, I'm just an errand boy, and tries to breeze past them, leaving the messengers in a total panic. Forced to reveal themselves, they announce they're from the Black Rabbit clan. They deliver an invitation that sounds a lot like a threat: come peacefully now, or the next visitors will be armed assassins. It's a messenger from the Gold Mountain Palace with a thinly veiled threat: go meet the boss, or run away now to save the town from a massacre. Our boy runs the numbers. Running away isn't his style, so he decides right then and there to face this big shot head-on. But he can't just show up looking like a scrub. After getting the location, a cabin on Gyeongdo Mountain, he starts planning his outfit. The messenger leaves with a final warning to flee far away, but our boy just watches him go, determined to stand his ground. Back at base, Seongti is losing his mind. Hearing it's the Gold Mountain Palace, he screams at our boy, convinced it's a suicide mission. While Jaha is chill about starting a war, Seongti is sweating bullets. He imagines Jaha getting pulverized but still offers to tag along, barely. Our boy asks if he's serious about coming, and Seongti instantly folds, admitting he absolutely does not want to die today. Telling him to stay put and recover, our boy turns to leave. But Seongti stops him, offering his own favorite red robe, so the boss looks the part. Our boy is preparing for a fight, but his biggest concern seems to be his outfit getting ruined. With a creepy smile, he brushes off the danger, making it clear he's ready to tear the place apart. After sending his injured ally back to recover, our guy turns to face the enemy territory alone. If he's going to pay them a visit, he might as well do it in style. Over at the Gold Mountain Palace Gate, the lookout is getting impatient. He honestly thought our boy was just a cowardly errand boy who would have fled the country by now. But just as the guard is muttering to himself, footsteps approach. Not only did our guy not run, but he's also walking right up to the front door with zero hesitation. The guard mocks our boy for being greedy enough to show up after killing the Joe brothers, but he steps aside. The chief is waiting inside, and he's not known for his patience. Inside the camp, the atmosphere is heavy. Chief Solingban is sitting by the fire, looking imposing, while the guard sarcastically introduces our boy as Master Jaha. The sarcasm in the guard's voice is thick enough to cut with a knife. He steps back with a smirk, clearly expecting our boy to get crushed by the chief. The chief finally speaks, staring our boy down. He starts lecturing him about taking over the brothels, his tone dripping with arrogance and disdain. But while the chief is busy trying to be intimidating, our guy just ignores him completely. He walks right up to the empty chair and sits down like he owns the place. The chief instantly loses his cool, screaming, "Who told you to sit?" Our boy just looks at him coldly and asks if he really needs permission to sit down. The disrespect is off the charts. Facing the gang's mockery, our boy admits he's crazy and then confuses everyone by asking the leader's age. It's the perfect setup to throw them off balance before things get violent. The joking stops immediately. Jaha's expression turns cold as he offers the leader a simple, brutal choice: die alone now, or watch all your subordinates die first. Enraged by the disrespect, the leader roars and brings his blade down. But our boy is already moving, his speed creating an afterimage as he charges straight into the attack. It's a clash of wills, but the difference in power is obvious. With a massive boom that cracks the ground, the confident gang leader is slammed down by sheer force. As the dust settles, the leader barely manages to stay on his feet, using his sword for support. He's completely in shock, unable to comprehend how his strength amounts to nothing against our boy. Seeing Jaha pause, the leader foolishly hopes for mercy. But our boy shuts that down immediately, his cold red eyes confirming that he has absolutely no reason to let a slaver live. The once arrogant leader is now trembling in fear, clutching his dagger and wondering who this monster is. Meanwhile, Jaha just stands there, casually taunting him to try attacking again. One guy decides to be a hero, screaming as he lunges at our boy with a dagger to regain control. Big mistake. Jaha unleashes a wave of red energy, blasting the attacker away effortlessly, and staring down the rest with cold, glowing eyes. The remaining thugs are frozen in shock. Jaha casually reminds them that this is what happens when you mess with a simple errand boy from Iliang. Scanning the terrified crowd, Jaha issues a simple ultimatum: kneel before the count of 3, or join your boss in the afterlife. 1, 2. He doesn't even need to finish. The fear is real, and the entire group drops to their knees in perfect synchronization. Jaha accepts their submission, his mind drifting back. Compared to the hellish obsession and starvation he endured in his past life to gain power, these guys are nothing. The thugs think they're safe and ask for mercy. But our boy hits them with a cruel technicality. He promised death to those standing, not life to those kneeling. Staring down death, the thugs are panicking. Their leader tries a desperate gamble, threatening to fight to the death if our boy doesn't let them go. When threats fail, he tries lying, claiming to be a secret inspector named Sima Bai. Bad move. Our boy remembers history, and knows the real Sima Bai died years ago for corruption. Caught in a lie, the guy freezes. But surprisingly, our boy is impressed. He gives the thug credit for being smart enough to stop his men from attacking earlier, and decides to spare him. But what about the rest of the gang? To prevent anyone from snitching to headquarters, the brown-haired leader realizes he needs to make sure everyone is equally complicit. When our boy questions their loyalty, the guy explains the harsh reality: the Black Rabbit clan executes cowards. Since they watched their boss die without fighting, reporting it would be a death sentence. Fear of their own organization makes for a solid alliance. Seeing that they're more afraid of the clan than of him, our boy signals for them to continue with their plan. Desperation fuels genius. The thug comes up with a plan so fast our boy sarcastically compares him to a legendary strategist. The big idea? Embezzlement. If they steal the branch's money together and run, they all become accomplices. No one can snitch without implicating themselves. Our boy smiles, clearly amused by their survival instincts. Shifting gears, our boy is sorting through his new subordinates. He asks for anyone named Seema, and when one terrified guy speaks up, Jaha drops some nonsense wisdom about how the name is traditionally perfect for a soldier. The poor guy is completely confused, having no idea why his name matters. He just kneels there trembling, while our boy clearly doesn't have a real reason and is just messing with them for fun. By nightfall, wagons are lined up outside. It turns out our boy didn't just recruit men, he emptied the Black Rabbit Union's secret vault. Manager Byok watches the operation, nervous but complying with the embezzlement plan. After setting the rules, our boy warns Manager Byok not to cause trouble in Ilyang. When Byok asks about their organization's name, he freezes in disbelief upon hearing the low-down sect, wondering if he heard that right. Seeing Byok's awkward polite confusion, our boy admits he just cobbled the name together. His logic is unique. If they are the low-down sect, it means no one is lower than them in society, making them technically unrivaled. Just then, Seonti rushes in, looking frantic. When he realizes all this cash was stolen directly from the Black Rabbit Union's chief, he loses it, knowing our boy has just turned a dangerous situation into a death sentence. Facing Seonti's breakdown, our boy simply shrugs and says he took it because he wanted to. While Jaha claims it's fine since he's good at fighting, Seonti facepalms, realizing his boss is an unhinged thief with zero survival instincts. Our boy is having a strategy meeting with his inner demon regarding the Black Rabbit clan. The crazy side suggests a simple solution: just capture their leader, torture him, or better yet, kill him outright. Even though it sounds extreme, our boy realizes it actually makes a lot of sense. With the plan set, he orders all the executives of the low-down sect to gather in front of the inn immediately. Following the order, key members like Duksu, the blacksmith, and the Red Monkey gather around the campfire. Seeing their leader summon them late at night, everyone expects a major announcement. Our boy doesn't waste time and lays down the first core rule of the low-down sect. From now on, if any trouble arises, he takes full responsibility. Everyone is instructed to blame everything on their master. He even emphasizes that if enemies come looking for the leader, they shouldn't try to be loyal heroes. They must sell him out immediately and point the enemies exactly to where he is. The crew is confused by this self-sacrificing rule, so our boy explains his logic. Since he has zero talent for cooking noodles, he decided to master martial arts instead. The subordinates are just relieved he finally admitted his cooking is terrible. Hearing everyone whisper about how awful his food really was, calling it the absolute worst, our boy gets a bit embarrassed and quickly forces the conversation back to business. Jokes aside, he's actually trying to draw a line. He reminds them that the innkeeper and blacksmith are civilians and businessmen who shouldn't be dragged into bloody martial arts battles. While this rule applies to most of the crew, our boy looks at his own hands with a steely gaze. In this chaotic world, he is the only exception. Facing his newly assembled crew, our boy solemnly announced the grand mission of the low-down sect. It wasn't just about fighting the Black Rabbit clan, it was about protecting the weak and downtrodden in this chaotic world. The crew was baffled, asking if he really meant taking on the established powers of both the light and dark factions. Our guy didn't hesitate. If someone hurts the innocent, he will take them down, regardless of their affiliation. These words triggered memories of his past life as the Mad Demon. Back then, he slaughtered his way through both the demonic cult and the martial arts league, only to be branded a lunatic because he lacked a righteous cause. It was a time full of misunderstandings. The world only saw his madness, blaming him for crimes he didn't commit. He didn't bother explaining himself back then, training alone to kill the cult leader while running from the so-called righteous sects. But things are different this time. As the leader of the low-down, our boy decided he needs a legitimate cause. From now on, every fight will be for justice and the weak, giving his actions a proper purpose. One of the more rational subordinates raised a hand to interrupt the passionate speech. Boss, to take on the entire martial arts world, wouldn't you need to be incredibly powerful first? Otherwise, this is just talk. Our boy replied with a straight face, as long as I'm unrivaled, there's no problem. Hearing this circular logic, the subordinate essentially rolled his eyes, clearly thinking their leader was full of it. However, there are always hype men in the group. The other two loyal followers immediately pledged their full support for his grand ambition, though their blind faith only made the situation more surreal. When questioned about how hard it is to become unrivaled even for geniuses who train from birth, our guy just calmly pointed at himself and dropped the ultimate explanation, "Sent by the heavens. That's me." The team was left speechless by this sudden burst of narcissism. Despite the skepticism, seeing his unwavering confidence made them realize they were stuck on this crazy ride with him. Meanwhile, rumors are spreading fast. Around a campfire, a group of martial artists is already discussing this mysterious errand boy named Yahello who's making waves in the world. Back to our boy, walking alone under the moonlight. He reflects on the difference between his past life and now. Before, he was just an aimless madman, but this time, he has a plan. He realizes that madness with a purpose makes you a revolutionary. So he makes a vow to himself, in this lifetime, he's going to become a successful lunatic. The scene shifts to the dark headquarters of the Black Rabbit Union. The atmosphere is heavy as the high-ranking members sit in silence before their intimidating leader, the man in the beast mask. A subordinate delivers shocking news. Their Gold Mountain branch chief was beaten to death. The leader can barely believe it when he hears the killer was just a mere errand boy from a local inn. Dismissing the idea of a high-level trap, the leader decides this is just some reckless amateur. He coldly orders his men to retrieve the stolen money and eliminate the errand boy immediately. To ensure the job gets done, the leader calls upon Gunpyeong So, the chief of the Gold Dragon Palace. Gunpyeong stands up, looking calm and ready for orders. The leader asks how he compares to the dead chief. Gunpyeong keeps it humble on the outside, but internally, he knows he could have crushed that guy in the time it takes to drink tea. Little does he know what he's walking into. Back at the Black Rabbit clan, the masked leader gives Gunpyeong a ridiculous order. Go take out that errand boy, all by himself, with no backup. It's a suicide mission with a clear ultimatum. Succeed or take your own life. Gunpyeong realizes he's being thrown to the wolves as a sacrificial pawn. With no other choice, Gunpyeong arrives at the inn. Our boy Jaha, fully committed to his waiter role, greets him with a smile and a steaming bowl of noodles. Watching the customer eat, Jaha's gaze sharpens. He instantly sizes up the man's skills and figures out that this is no ordinary guest. After finishing his meal, Gunpyeong finally asks about his target, completely unaware that the Yahello he's looking for is standing right in front of him. Our boy decides to play along, smoothly lying that Jaha caused trouble and fled town, hiding a mocking smirk behind his innocent waiter mask. Hearing his target is gone, Gunpyeong falls into despair, thinking he's doomed. Suddenly, the submissive waiter drops the act and his tone turns ice cold. Gunpyeong So of the Black Rabbit clan. Jaha calls him out by name. Gunpyeong freezes in shock, terrified that a mere waiter knows his secret identity. Instead of answering the enemy's question directly, our boy starts playing dumb, pretending to ponder the deep philosophical mystery of his own identity. You have to give it to this guy. Even with the killing intent filling the room, he calmly finishes his noodles. Our boy actually thinks he might be crazy. After finishing the meal, the enemy actually asks for the bill. The terrified shopkeeper tries to waive it, but this guy insists on paying for what he ate. After complimenting the food, he decides not to wreck the shop. He calls our boy out, suggesting they take this fight somewhere with more space. Since a fight is starting, our boy needs a weapon. He asks the shopkeeper for something to use and ends up grabbing a kitchen knife from the counter. Looking at the ordinary kitchen knife, our boy sniffs it and realizes the lingering smell of garlic is actually a perfect bonus for inflicting mental damage. Our boy solemnly threatens that garlic in an open wound stings like crazy. The enemy stares in disbelief, struggling to accept that this weird waiter is a master killer. Noticing the enemy came alone, our boy starts his psychological warfare. He points out the obvious truth. His leader likely sent him here on a suicide mission. The villain can't stop running his mouth, calling Jaha a mere errand boy. But our boy just stands his ground and smirks, reminding the guy that he's nothing but a third-rate gangster. Talk is cheap, so they clash immediately. Jaha instantly realizes the enemy is wielding Gunpyeong's high-quality blade, and blocking it head-on would snap his trusty kitchen knife in two. Deciding it's a waste of energy to reinforce a kitchen knife with chi, our boy stops trying to block. Instead, he relies entirely on his footwork to weave through the furious barrage of sword strikes. This drives the villain insane. Every swing is powerful and lethal, but Jaha moves like smoke, effortlessly sliding past every attack by a hair's breadth. While the enemy is visibly losing his cool, our boy calmly analyzes his form mid-fight. The guy has decent skills, sure, but not nearly enough to threaten a true master. The reality finally hits the villain hard. He's terrified to realize that no matter how angrily he attacks, this waiter is predicting his every move before he even makes it. While the enemy screams in confusion, asking about his identity and telling him to shut up in the same breath, our boy just calmly points out the stupidity of the situation. Our boy doesn't even flinch at the attack stance, instead roasting the enemy's swordsmanship as a crappy technique taught to slaves, which immediately triggers the guy's ego. Jaha starts dismantling the enemy's pride verbally, telling him the brutal truth: they aren't respected members of the faction, just disposable puppets and pawns. The insults keep coming: gamecocks, playthings, cash cows. The enemy completely loses it and screams, "Shut up!" desperate to deny the harsh reality check he's receiving. Seeing the enemy exhausted and hesitating, our boy twists the knife deeper, describing their pathetic existence of blind obedience, killing, and training solely on command like robots. The final blow involves the ranking battles they take so seriously. Our boy reveals they are just entertainment for the leader. The enemy's hands start trembling as he realizes he can't refute a single word. Enjoying the look of utter shock on the guy's face, our boy mocks his disillusionment with a cool, dark faction, before casually dropping a smirk and promising that he will personally kill their leader. To wrap up the lecture, our boy explains that their leader is too selfish to ever actually teach his best techniques to disposable minions, no matter how hard they fight for rank. The opponent mocks our boy, claiming his followers are just suck-ups, but Jaha just smirks, telling him that a good beating is exactly what he needs to come to his senses. Words turn into action as blades clash. The opponent unleashes a flashy fire technique aimed straight at our boy, but Jaha faces the flames without flinching. Even as he shouts his move name, "Taste of Fire," the guy is internally panicking. He realizes he's outmatched but forces himself to keep fighting to save face. The fight intensifies as the opponent unleashes a desperate flurry of attacks. Our boy weaves through the chaos with ease, calmly waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Since normal attacks aren't working, the opponent goes into full demolition mode, smashing the ground with every strike. Our boy wisely slides back to avoid the massive shockwaves. Just when the guy thinks brute force is working, our boy finds an opening. With a precise counter, he slams the opponent into the ground, ending the flashy display instantly. Standing over his fallen foe, the spectator watches in awe, thinking he's witnessing a noble battle between true masters. But reality is a bit different. Our boy is just ruthlessly stomping on the guy while he's down. Yep, this is a master's battle, Jaha style. Gunpyeong wakes up in a cold sweat, only to realize he's in a nightmare scenario. Our boy Jaha isn't exactly patient, so he signals Seonti to speed up the waking process. Seonti delivers a brutal wake-up call, literally slapping the senses back into their captive. Gunpyeong jolts awake, quickly realizing this isn't his cozy bed anymore. Now that he's awake, the interrogation begins. Jaha cuts straight to the chase, demanding intel on the masked Black Rabbit leader. Gunpyeong, still dazed, admits their leader is currently in secluded training to defend his rank. Seizing the moment, our boy decides to flex his organization's power with some absolute nonsense. He claims the lowdown knows everything except what they don't know yet. This circular logic leaves Gunpyeong completely baffled. Gunpyeong actually buys the bluff, but makes a fatal mistake. He assumes Jaha is just an errand boy for this powerful group. Seonti takes immediate offense to this insult against his master and starts pummeling the poor guy. Watching the beatdown, our boy notices something interesting. He knows Gunpyeong is actually much stronger than Seonti, yet the captive isn't fighting back at all. Something else is going on in his head. Seonti is having way too much fun playing the bad cop, beating the pulp out of Gunpyeong while looking to our boy for approval. Seeing his subordinate get a bit too carried away, Jaha orders him to leave the room. He needs a moment alone to properly negotiate with their captive. Jaha cuts straight to the chase. Join the crew or die right here. Surprisingly, Gunpyeong chooses death over betrayal, refusing the offer instantly. But when Jaha presses him for a final answer, the fear of death kicks in. Gunpyeong swallows his pride and begs for mercy. To save his own skin, he swears a solemn oath. He'll stay far away from the lowdown and never touch anyone connected to our boy again. Jaha decides to let him go, but it's all part of a plan. He's channeling his inner Zhuge Liang, figuring that if you beat someone up 7 times, they'll eventually join you. With the strategy set, Jaha tells him to get lost. Gunpyeong is so confused by the sudden release that he actually hesitates to leave. Before he goes, Jaha drops the smile and delivers a chilling warning. If Gunpyeong ever hurts an innocent civilian again, he will be torn limb from limb. Gunpyeong limps away grateful to be alive, leaving Seongti completely confused about why his master would just let an enemy walk free. Gunpyeong is haunted by the cold orders of the Black Rabbit Union leaders. Fail the mission, and you must take your own life. Being treated like a disposable tool finally makes him question his loyalty. Why exactly should he die for them? The rage of being discarded makes him refuse to just end it all. While he's torn between death and dinner, his stomach makes the decision for him, leading him right to the doorstep of our boy's inn. He thinks he's being sneaky, but our boy spotted the wandering red monkey ages ago. Before Gunpyeong can even react, he gets a friendly slap on the back of the head. Trying to stealth around Jaha is a rookie mistake. Caught red-handed, Gunpyeong decides to just ask for noodles. Although our boy teases him by saying they're sold out, the moment Gunpyeong flashes cash up front, the hospitality mode kicks and money talks, after all. As he slurps down the noodles, Gunpyeong's heart grows heavier. He knows returning means death, but he can't bring himself to abandon his subordinates. The despair of being trapped makes the meal taste bitter. Seeing the former commander so down, Seongti strikes up a conversation. He explains that the low-down sect doesn't extort people like the old days. They actually provide protection. Gunpyeong is stunned to realize that a gang doesn't have to be evil to survive. Since he overpaid earlier, Seongti brings out a steaming bowl of pork ribs as extra service. Staring at the hearty meal in what should be enemy territory, Gunpyeong feels a rare sense of warmth and respect, and he's ready to devour it with intense emotion. Even in the darkest moments, good food has the power to heal. Gunpyeong grabs the ribs, ready to swallow all his grievances and confusion along with the meat. Just as everyone is digging into the feast, our boy appears at the door with a death stare. Not because of some assassin, but because these guys dared to start eating ribs without him. Our boy sits down and makes himself right at home. Between bites, he casually asks Gunpyeong why he's still hanging around eating ribs instead of running for his life after being spared. Turns out, he didn't run because he's worried about his brothers back in the Black Rabbit clan. Hearing this, our boy pauses mid-chew. Looks like this guy actually has some loyalty in him. Our boy realizes that if Gunpyeong doesn't return, the clan will eventually come looking for him. And since waiting around for trouble isn't his style, he starts forming a plan. Take me to the Black Rabbit clan. Our boy drops the command casually, leaving Gunpyeong completely shocked. Is he seriously planning to raid the entire clan alone? He even warns him to get his own men out of the way to avoid the slaughter. Still sweating buckets, Gunpyeong asks when they should leave. Our boy's answer is immediate. Right now. He brushes off the hesitation and ambush works best when they never see it coming. Looking at that intense gaze, you know he's dead serious. To keep the town safe, he needs to strike tonight and wipe out the Black Rabbit clan before the threat grows any larger. Arriving at the Black Rabbit Union's base, our boy decides against a full assault. He orders his subordinate to wait for a chance to rescue the hostages, while he heads to the front gate to cause a distraction. When our boy knocks, he knocks with intent. He violently slams the door knocker against the gate, making sure every villain inside knows exactly where he is. A guard peeks out and dismisses Jaha's polite introduction as the ramblings of a drunkard. Since they refuse to open up, he decides he's done asking nicely and prepares to force his way in. Taking the aerial route, our boy leaps over the roof and executes a perfect superhero landing right in the middle of the courtyard, catching the patrol completely off guard. The alarm is raised, and he is instantly surrounded. Unfazed by the numbers, our boy casually introduces himself again to the confused mob as if he's just there for a friendly visit. The masked leader finally steps out to confront the intruder. Instead of being intimidated, our boy immediately switches to mockery, insulting the boss by calling him a slave rabbit. Meeting only silence, Jaha doubles down on the insults. The surrounding minions break into a cold sweat, shocked that anyone would dare speak to their terrifying leader with such disrespect. Through the barrage of insults, the masked leader finally realizes the truth. If this madman is standing here unharmed, it means his top enforcer, Gunpyeong, has likely already been eliminated. Instead of attacking, our boy decides to play mind games. Ignoring the leader, he addresses the henchmen directly, shouting that their boss would only be a true leader if he faced him one-on-one. Then he twists the knife, mocking the leader as a coward hiding behind a mask who uses his men as meat shields. His words cut deep, and you can see the subordinates starting to sweat and doubt their loyalty. The masked leader tries to act superior, refusing to fall for the taunt. But our boy doesn't let up, shouting back that refusing the duel is basically admitting he wants his subordinates to die for nothing. Cornered, the leader redirects his rage at Gunpyeong, asking why he hasn't killed himself yet. That's the breaking point. Gunpyeong snaps back, declaring his life belongs to himself now, not the clan. Seeing the truth, Gunpyeong makes a bold move. He calls out to his former comrades, betting his life that our boy will win and proving he's the one actually worth following. Our boy presses the advantage as he steps forward. The pressure is on. Even the loyal henchmen are glancing at their leader now, silently begging him to accept the duel to spare their lives. Realizing he's lost control of the room, the furious leader has no choice but to accept the challenge through gritted teeth. He's been completely outmaneuvered by our boy's psychological warfare. Our boy loudly announces the start of the 1v1 to lock it in. But the masked leader has snapped. He screams "shut up" and launches a surprise attack before the sentence is even finished. Before anyone realizes what's happening, a massive blade charged with blue energy comes spinning out of the shadows. The weapon tears through the air and slams into the mob with brutal force, taking out the lackeys before they can even blink. The sudden interruption clearly annoys the masked leader. He keeps his arrogant composure but makes it clear whoever just interrupted him is dead meat. Recognizing our boy, the leader mocks the entrance as merely flashy. Jaha simply responds with that signature, terrifyingly calm smirk of his. Realizing Jaha needs a weapon, Gunpyeong steps up and offers his own treasured katana. Jaha knows exactly what this means. Handing over his blade is like handing over his life. Moved by his subordinates' absolute loyalty, our boy accepts the weapon with a grin, promising to return it safely once the job is done. With the blade in hand, Jaha points the gleaming steel straight at the rabbit bastard, signaling that playtime is officially over. Not one to back down, the masked leader slowly draws his own ornate blade. The tension spikes as the two leaders lock eyes, ready to clash. Even moments before a life-or-death duel, our boy stays true to his chaotic nature, casually twirling the sword to taunt his opponent like this is all just a game. Facing a heavy strike from the masked leader, our boy doesn't even flinch. Instead, wearing his signature grin, he launches a high-speed counterattack head-on. The blades collide with such force that the ground beneath them cracks. Sparks fly as they trade blow for blow, turning the courtyard into a chaotic battlefield. After a brief standoff, the masked fighter gets agitated by Jaha's relaxed smile and unleashes a frantic flurry of attacks, trying to break through. The fight escalates to a whole new level. Golden energy clashes with blue aura, creating shockwaves that tear up the environment around them. The henchmen watching from the sidelines are sweating bullets. They expected an easy win, but seeing an errand boy match their master's skills is blowing their minds. But the sharp-eyed observer realizes the truth. Jaha wasn't struggling. He was stalling to analyze their martial arts. Now that he's seen enough, the playtime is over. Jaha stops holding back, and the difference in power is instant. One heavy strike leaves the masked leader's hand trembling uncontrollably, realizing way too late that he's been outclassed. "You just realized?" Jaha mocks him while unleashing a relentless assault, completely breaking the masked leader's stance and forcing him back. The exchange ends with the so-called master staggering in pain, while our boy stands there looking like he barely broke a sweat. The gap in skill is undeniable. Seeing his control slipping away, the masked leader frantically orders his men to attack. But this only enrages Gunpyeong, who calls out the hypocrisy of being told to commit suicide one moment and fight for the boss the next. Just as chaos is about to erupt, our boy steps in with a commanding shout. He orders everyone to stand down, taking the burden of the fight onto himself to protect the confused subordinates. Realizing his men won't move, the leader charges in himself. As their blades clash with a shower of sparks, our boy calmly mocks the villain's desperate state, clearly enjoying the upper hand. Humiliated and furious, the leader leaps into the air, putting all his weight and power into a massive downward slash intended to crush our boy in one go. Our boy could easily dodge the attack, but he realizes in a split second that if he moves, the energy from the slash will wipe out Gunpyeong and his men standing behind him. Choosing to protect the others, he meets the attack head-on. His blade erupts with fiery energy, clashing against the leader's strike and causing a massive explosion that shakes the ground. As the smoke clears, the result is obvious. The once arrogant leader is now coughing up massive amounts of blood, his internal organs shattered by the sheer force of our boy's counterattack. Gunpyeong and his men are left completely stunned. They knew our boy was strong, but witnessing this level of power firsthand makes them realize he's on an entirely different level. With the fight over, our boy turns his gaze to the frozen Gunpyeong. Instead of a threat, he offers a compliment. Gunpyeong's earlier hesitation and argument actually saved his men from being slaughtered. With their leader dead, our boy generously offers the stunned survivors a choice. If anyone wants to die out of loyalty, step up now, and he'll happily send them to the afterlife. The assassins, usually so fearsome, are sweating buckets and frozen in fear. Our boy actually looks disappointed after all. This was their last chance to challenge a lowly waiter. Since no one dares to move, silence means submission. He grabs the bloody mask, puts it on, and officially declares himself the new leader of the Black Rabbit clan. Whether they like it or not, the new order is set. To mark the end of the violence, our boy casually tosses the borrowed sword back to his subordinate. He asks for the weapon's name the Black Hare's Tooth. He starts to roast how ridiculous it sounds, but quickly stops himself, realizing he can't trash talk what is now his own property. His first command as boss? Housekeeping. He lectures the confused assassins on cleaning up the corpses and floors, getting visibly annoyed when they just stare blankly at him. Terrified by his glare, the mob instantly shouts, "Yes, master!" Satisfied, our boy orders the officials to the main hall to begin the real takeover. Meanwhile, a masked figure is slaughtering his way through the courtyard, ruthlessly declaring himself the new leader of the Black Rabbit clan. The onlookers watch in terror, sweating as they recognize the brutal swordsmanship and realize this new leader might be someone from their past. Back at the base, our boy Jaha has comfortably taken the boss's seat. Gunpyeong, sweating nervously, reports that everyone survived thanks to Jaha. Jaha is actually impressed, praising Gunpyeong not just for his intelligence, but for genuinely caring about his men's lives. Seongti immediately jumps in to hype up the boss, telling everyone how Jaha heroically risked his life, leaving the rest of the crew in awe. Recognizing talent when he sees it, Jaha officially appoints Gunpyeong as the clan's strategist. Seongti is so excited he immediately pledges his loyalty. The crew starts clapping enthusiastically to show support, but Jaha shuts it down instantly. One word is all it takes to silence the entire room. Now that he's in charge, Jaha starts preaching his philosophy. It doesn't matter if they hate each other, as long as they fight and grow stronger together. But the mood shifts instantly when Jaha catches a guy zoning out. He terrifies the subordinate, then casually orders them to clean up the corpse nearby. Ignoring the whispers among the elders, our boy cuts straight through the noise and demands the manager in charge step forward to report. He starts issuing financial orders like he's owned the place for years, confusing everyone, before suddenly shifting gears to ask about the upcoming sparring match. The executives are sweating bullets, wondering how he knows their internal secrets. Ignoring their confusion, our boy accurately predicts that the Red Monkey will be the next challenger. After confirming he's currently ranked 5th among the generals, our boys seem satisfied enough to ask about the whereabouts of their so-called revered teacher. Just thinking about that old man chasing women makes our boy's blood boil. The elders are completely baffled by how he switches from respect to pure rage in a split second. Our boy gets more agitated, accusing their master of moral corruption. When the elders try to defend him, he snaps, roaring that the old man has fallen into degeneracy. The executives finally realize he's planning a full-on rebellion and start panicking. Our boy doesn't mince words. Anyone who sides with the old master is a dead man. Having terrified the room, our boy pivots to the Black Sea Wolves. Upon confirming they're still auctioning slaves, his expression turns even colder. He immediately declares war, ordering the Black Rabbit clan to crush the Black Sea Wolves. The executives are left stunned, realizing their new boss has just turned them into a slave liberation front on a whim. Facing these officials who hide behind duty, our boy cuts straight to the chase, questioning their sudden attacks on the Black Sea Wolves. One look at his manic smile, and the tension in the room skyrockets. Delivering a twisted speech about justice while covered in blood, our boy completely dominates the room. The terrified officials have no choice but to bow their heads and pledge their resources to his cause. Just to be sure, our boy flashes his bloody hand and offers a friendly one-on-one duel to any dissenters. Luckily for them, everyone stays quiet, and Jaha is delighted he doesn't have to slaughter his new staff. With the internal purge handled, our boy puts his mask back on and steps into the courtyard. Admiring the moonlight, he genuinely believes that terrifying meeting was actually peaceful and fruitful. A servant nervously approaches with dinner, but our boy just wants to wash off the blood from his earlier negotiations. Seeing the servant shake in terror, Jaha shamelessly jokes that his handsomeness must be the cause. Realizing the poor guy is about to faint from fear, our boy drops the act and reassures him. After all, as the new clan leader, he's here to protect his people, not scare them to death. To clean up and check out his new inventory, Jaha heads straight for the medicine storage. Seeing the well-stocked shelves, you can practically hear the gears turning in his head for his next move. Since he's already raided the enemy's pharmacy, our boy starts rummaging through the inventory. Unfortunately, the first few drawers only contain common trash that isn't worth his time. Finally, a promising rattle from the next drawer reveals the jackpot. He spots the flaming heart pills, exactly the kind of high-grade fuel he needs right now. These pills are perfect for fixing the chi imbalance in his limbs. Without wasting a second, our boy slaps himself awake to focus and swallows all 3 pills dry. Just as he sits down to digest the medicine, he hears footsteps on the roof. Trouble has arrived, but he has to subdue the raging fire inside his body before he can fight. He prepares to use his technique to guide the energy, but something bizarre happens. The jade of heaven inside him activates on its own, devouring the pill's heat before he can even start. Our boy snaps his eyes open, stunned. The medicinal energy didn't just circulate, it was aggressively sucked into the jade instantly, bypassing the usual absorption process entirely. He tests the flow, moving his hands to guide the chi. To his surprise, the energy responds perfectly, shifting from raw power into a controllable flame within his palms. This is a game changer. The Jade of Heaven was designed to steal life force from living warriors, but it seems it's evolved enough to strip the essence right out of inanimate elixirs too. Back inside, our boy is deep in meditation when he realizes the Jade of Heaven is absorbing external chi. He immediately hesitates, refusing to become a monster like the Shining Light official who hunted him down in his past life. But then he relaxes. Since he's been given a second chance at life, is there anything he can't accomplish? Instead of worrying, he decides to embrace this power and figure out a cool name for his new technique. Feeling confident, he reaches out dramatically to test his powers, and absolutely nothing happens. He awkwardly scratches his head, remembering that he's not quite at the level of telekinesis just yet. Minor embarrassment aside, he doesn't care. To create a martial art the world has never seen, he needs to think like a lunatic, abandoning traditional theories to fully integrate the Jade's power. With a sharp command, he begins a vivid mental simulation. Red energy swirls around him as he visualizes every flow and strike, reconstructing his martial arts foundation in real time. Finally, inspiration strikes. He considers a long, fancy title involving the Jade of Heaven, but decides to keep it simple. He settles on the name, the Great Absorption Technique. Meanwhile, a new chapter begins. In a peaceful courtyard, masked members of the Black Rabbit Union are quietly sweeping petals. But beneath the calm, you can tell a storm is brewing. Perched on a high seat, the masked leader rests his chin on his hand, looking bored yet dangerous. It seems an unexpected guest has arrived to disturb his peace. A subordinate rushes in with an update. A woman has arrived claiming to have news regarding Ilyang Prefecture. Normally she'd be turned away, but the mention of their home turf catches everyone's attention. Our boy, currently role-playing as the masked leader, is intrigued. He just secured control over the Black Rabbit Union, so things should be quiet. Curious about this unexpected variable, he orders her to be brought in. Miss Sun enters the hall and immediately drops to her knees. She is trembling with fear, clearly overwhelmed by the intimidating atmosphere of the villainous hideout. Our boy recognizes her immediately but keeps his cool. Hiding his surprise behind a mask, he maintains his mysterious leader persona and commands her to report exactly what happened. Seeing her struggle to speak, our guy tries to ease the tension with a casual compliment about her name, gesturing for her to continue with her story. She finally starts her report, complaining about a certain errand boy at Jahan. The executives on the sidelines immediately freeze in terror. She is unknowingly snitching on the boss right to his face. She keeps going, listing off crimes like stealing liquor, completely unaware of who she's talking to. The subordinates are having a mental breakdown, watching this woman dig her own grave by complaining about the master to the master. The tension in the room is palpable as the executives keep their heads down, terrified of how their unpredictable leader will react. Finally, Ms. Sun finishes her report on the terrible errand boy. Our boy nods thoughtfully. He summarizes that this errand boy wiped out the corrupt brothel owners and took over, which sounds like great news to him. Confusing the poor girl completely, he praises her bravery instead of getting angry. Impressed by her courage despite her situation, our boy decides to offer her a lifeline instead of punishment, a position as the head maid. She accepts the offer immediately. Our boy welcomes her into the clan, promising protection, but makes it clear there are 2 conditions she must follow. Loyalty is expected, but the second rule is specific: she needs to watch her mouth. The phrase sounds suspiciously familiar, triggering a sense of déjà vu. Pushing aside her doubts, she tearfully pledges her loyalty. But when our boy mentions giving her another chance to get along, she's left completely confused. Fed up with the mask, our boy finally rips it off. The moment she sees his face, pure terror strikes. It's the very same waiter she was just badmouthing. The shock is too much for her brain to handle. Unable to utter a single word, she staggers backward and passes out cold on the floor. Manager Byok confirms she just fainted from shock. Meanwhile, our boy completely misreads the room, annoyed that his new employee couldn't handle his presence. Meanwhile, we get a glimpse of how the enemy handles failure. The leader ruthlessly disposes of a subordinate right in front of everyone, showing zero mercy. Terrified by the brutal display, the remaining subordinates have no choice but to sweat nervously and agree with their leader's twisted definition of mercy. Back with our boy, he's wasting no time whipping his new recruits into shape. He kicks off the hellish training session by ordering everyone to drop down for 500 push-ups. As they struggle, Jaha delivers a harsh reality check. In their line of work, weakness earns nothing but disrespect, so every second not spent eating or sleeping must be dedicated to getting stronger. He singles out Gunpyeong and the Gold Dragon unit, ordering them to go fill sandbags. This isn't a break, though those sandbags are destined to become extra weight for the others' training. The remaining officers aren't spared either. They're forced straight into brutal sparring matches. The courtyard turns into chaos as everyone fights desperately, willing to break bones just to prove their worth. Watching them beat each other senseless with such enthusiasm, even our boy has to admit these guys are a bunch of weirdos for being this eager to fight. The push-up hell continues, with Jaha looming over them from the terrace. He kindly warns them to speed it up because once those sandbags arrive, the difficulty level is going to skyrocket. Pushed to their absolute limits, the men let out a collective scream that echoes through the courtyard. Jaha seems genuinely pleased, graciously allowing them to scream as much as they want while they suffer. While the recruits are enduring hellish training outside to strengthen the sect, our boy is busy inside plotting his next move. Manager Byok proves his worth by presenting a comprehensive dossier on the 12 heavenly generals, detailing their fighting styles and physical traits down to the last secret. As our boy flips through the pages, he's genuinely surprised by the depth of the intel, especially the revelation that the infamous Red Monkey is actually a woman. Manager Byok explains that despite her lower rank, she's a prodigy respected by all generals for her unmatched agility and self-funded martial arts training. When Byok mentions that the strongest target is listed last, our boy grins, realizing that's exactly who he'll eventually have to take down. Impressed by the work, Jaha promises a generous reward. Manager Byok tries to act humble, but he's certainly not going to turn down the payment. Their conversation is cut short when Soso, the head maid, interrupts to report a visitor waiting outside, someone wearing a mask. Upon hearing it's a monkey mask, our boy checks the file immediately. Speak of the devil, it looks like the Red Monkey has come knocking right on time. Our boy finishes reviewing the intel just as his guest arrives. It's Hong Shin, the Red Monkey, a notorious kleptomaniac general. As he snaps the book shut, a confident smile creeps onto his face. He knows exactly how to handle this greed. Hong Shin waltzes into the room like she owns the place. Despite the mask, her arrogance is palpable as she sizes up the rabid general, clearly thinking she has the upper hand before even saying a word. Our boy plops down on the throne and immediately chooses violence. Long time no see, you thieving bitch. Hong Shin is visibly offended, but our guy just scratches his head innocently, pretending he thought that was the standard greeting among generals. Sensing the tension, our boy quickly spins a lie about suffering from chi deviation and a fever to explain his rudeness. Hong Shin buys it instantly, her anger replaced by a smirk as she realizes her target is supposedly weakened. Believing he's injured, Hong Shin drops the pleasantries and demands her allowance. She's calculating that he won't risk fighting her now, since he needs to save his strength for his upcoming duel with the White Rooster. Hong Shin threatens to ruin his condition for the tournament, but our boy isn't having it. He coolly asks if she's a beggar hitting up all the brothers. That insult lands hard, and Hong Shin decides it's time to stop talking and start fighting. Weapons drawn, she offers a settlement, 30 silver pieces to leave him alone. Internally, she's already getting greedy, convinced that he's too terrified and injured to accept her challenge. But before she can hike the price, our boy cuts in with a counteroffer. With a menacing aura, he suggests she hand over all her money instead, if she wants to leave in one piece. The scene opens with a grotesque, monkey-like visage, foreshadowing the true nature of the opponent our boy is about to face, the red monkey of the 12 generals. Cutting to the interior, our boy donning a gold beast mask is laying down the law. He's not just here to spar, he's running a business. If she wants to challenge him, she has to pay up, though he offers a full refund if she manages to defeat him even once. It's blatant gambling disguised as a duel. Seeing our boy's confident smirk, the red monkey wonders if he's lost his mind, but she decides to accept the bet, thinking his arrogance will be his downfall. She sets the specific terms. If he can remove her mask within 7 minutes, he wins. Our boy agrees instantly, even allowing her to use any dirty tricks or tools she has, clearly unbothered by the constraints. They move to the courtyard, and the tension spikes. The red monkey drops into a serious combat stance, while our boy just casually strolls forward like he's on a morning walk, maximizing the disrespect. She tries to warn him that 7 minutes isn't much time, but our boy tells her to shut up. He closes the distance, promising to teach her a harsh lesson right here and now. Done with talking, our boy launches a sudden assault. The red monkey blocks the strike, but is immediately confused by his erratic movements, as a palm thrust comes flying in from an unexpected angle. True to her name, she's incredibly agile. She dodges his slash with a backflip and lands a spinning handstand recovery, effortlessly showcasing her acrobatic skills as the fight truly begins. Hong Xin, known as the Red Monkey, is incredibly confident in her footwork, and even the bystanders doubt our boy can catch up to such a speedy thief. She's busy daydreaming about how to spend the reward money, but our boy suddenly accelerates, cutting her financial fantasies short with a high-speed lunge. Hong Xin finally realizes something is wrong. Our boy keeps getting faster, forcing her to scramble defensively in midair, losing her previous composure. Suddenly, our boy's movement becomes ghostly and unpredictable, weaving through the air so fast that Hong Xin can't track where the next attack is coming from. Seeing her continue to resist, a crazy smile forms behind our boy's mask, the look of a hunter knowing the trap is about to snap shut. In that instant, our boy stops holding back and unleashes his signature great absorption technique, locking onto Hong Xin with a powerful red force. Caught in the inescapable suction, Hong Xin loses her balance completely. Our boy grabs hold of her and slams her violently into the ground without mercy. That impact leaves the red monkey trembling on the ground, totally dazed. But before she can even recover from the fear, our boy is already launching his next move. The battle hits its climax as the legendary great absorption technique is unleashed. Violent red energy explodes in the air, creating a level of combat that mere mortals wouldn't dare interfere with. With a deafening boom, the dust settles to reveal both fighters lying amidst the rubble. This is the price of a head-on collision. However, our boy is built different. He stands up holding his trophy like nothing happened, claiming an easy and leisurely victory while casually introducing the fallen sister Hong Xin to the gang. Looking at Hong Xin's bloodied face and pained expression, the gang members start questioning if she's even alive. But our boy remains confident, assuring them it's not a big deal. Our boy takes this moment to lecture his subordinates about the dangers of the world, specifically warning them about honey traps. As he speaks, Hong Xin actually stumbles back to her feet, playing along with the act. But the moment Hong Xin wipes the blood off her face and removes her mask, all those warnings go out the window. The gang members are instantly mesmerized, eyes wide, capable of saying nothing but wow. Seeing their pathetic reaction, our boy looks purely disappointed, reaffirming that beauty traps are practically a cheat code in this superficial world. Cut to reality. The glamorous red monkey is now tied up tight. Calming down, she finally realizes this so-called brother is a complete imposter. He sealed her pressure points, and his crazy vibe is unlike anyone she knows. Hong Xin finds herself tied to a pillar, completely at the mercy of her captors. Manager Biok walks in, but he's no longer serving the Black Rabbit Union. He's here on orders from our boy. After a chaotic struggle that led to her capture, Hong Xin is left alone with the manager. Biok calmly dismisses the guards, preparing to handle this interrogation personally. When Hong Xin asks what he's doing, Biok sighs. He explains that their terrifying new leader has ordered a highly detailed portrait of her face, and he's too scared to disobey. Reasoning that a famous thief needs a mugshot, Biok justifies the absurdity. He waves his brush dangerously close to her face, making Hong Xin flinch in sheer terror. Hong Xin snaps at him for staring, but Byok hits back with artist logic. To draw a mountain, one must look at the mountain. He is clearly enjoying annoying her. Desperate, Hong Shin tries to pull rank as one of the 12 generals. Byok instantly shuts her down, coldly warning her to show some respect to her elders given her current position. Byok drops a crude joke about drawing a nude portrait just to mess with her head, before casually brushing it off. He's playing mind games to break her spirit. Jokes aside, Byok recounts how their previous master died with his bones crushed by Jaha. The message is clear: Hong Shin is lucky to still have her limbs attached. Instead of torture, our captured thief is dealing with something much weirder. Our boy hired an artist to sketch her portrait, planning to use her identity as leverage. While hiding behind a mask, our boy orders the artist to mass-produce the drawings for her enemies. Red Monkey, realizing the danger, demands to know who this masked lunatic actually is. She tries to intimidate him by bringing up her powerful sect, but our boy isn't fazed at all. He just brushes off the threat and mocks her with a nickname. Realizing threats won't work, she switches tactics. Since she's in it for the money, she offers to cooperate fully as long as the pay is good. Our boy isn't naive enough to trust a thief's word. Despite her promises, he flatly tells her he doesn't believe a word she says, leaving her scrambling for a new angle. Since words are cheap, our boy decides to ensure her loyalty with a little insurance. He mentions a special poison prepared by the doctor, and suddenly, Red Monkey's confidence evaporates into pure panic. No matter how much she begs or calls him brother now, it's too late. Our boy signals his men to proceed, determined to bring her completely under his control. With a simple command, the poison is forced down her throat. Before she can even struggle, the deed is done, and she's officially leashed to our boy's will. Since Red Monkey refused to cooperate, our boy didn't waste time arguing. He simply had his men force the so-called poison down her throat. Then came the vicious terms. To get the antidote within 10 days, she must return with the head of one of her fellow generals. Basically, he's forcing her to betray her own crew. Seeing her shock, our boy casually trolled her, claiming to be just an errand boy from the next town. True or not, she had no choice but to accept the mission to survive. Filled with rage and humiliation, Red Monkey had to compromise for a chance to live. She turned and left the inn, burdened with a cruel mission she had to complete within 10 days. However, the moment she left, the physician sheepishly confessed to our boy that wasn't a deadly poison, just a potent mix of laxatives and digestive aids. Unaware of the truth, Red Monkey sprinted with all her might, thinking she had to complete the mission before the poison killed her. Suddenly, a sharp pain hit her stomach. She thought the deadly poison was kicking in, completely unaware that she was just about to have a very bad bathroom emergency. The Red Monkey is absolutely baffled by our boy's demands. She can't believe she's being asked to betray her entire organization just to avoid a little discomfort. But denial only lasts so long. Cold sweat starts dripping down her face as her stomach churns, and she prays that it's anything but what she thinks it is. Reality hits hard. It's definitely laxatives. All thoughts of honor vanish as she desperately bargains with the heavens, promising to be a good person if she can just survive this stomachache. With no time to lose, she channels all her internal energy into holding it in. She sprints away with a very specific waddle, frantically searching for a secluded spot. She finally finds a hidden spot in the bushes and prepares for relief, but the moment is ruined by the sound of someone approaching at high speed from above. She panics, realizing the intruder is a master of martial arts. Before she can react, the figure lands heavily right in front of her, freezing her in place. Of course, it's our boy catching up, acting completely innocent, and asking why she looks so pale. Too embarrassed to admit the truth, she stammers out the first excuse she can think of: it's poison. Seeing someone in a desperate bathroom emergency, our boy springs into action. Ignoring the random bystander, he squats down and signals for the Red Monkey, who looks like she's about to explode, to hop on. Usually a nimble thief, she's currently paralyzed by stomach cramps and cold sweat. Seeing her savior, she swallows her pride and leans on our guy, barely able to speak through the pain. Once she's secure, our boy takes over. He launches into a high-speed sprint, blurring through the forest. This is a race against time, and the consequences of losing are too messy to think about. Mid-flight, our guide decides it's the perfect time to play life coach, telling her to stay calm. Easy to say when you're not the one whose internal organs are staging a violent rebellion. They finally reach the inn, and our boy points out the restroom. Unleashing speed faster than any getaway, she dashes toward her sanctuary with desperate determination. While our boy waits patiently in the courtyard, a flock of white doves takes flight. A beautiful, artistic visual metaphor for the explosive release happening nearby. Reality, however, is less poetic. Inside, she's mortified by the sheer volume of the situation, praying that the noise isn't broadcasting her shame to the entire neighborhood. After the storm passes, the walk of shame begins. She trudges out, drained and unable to make eye contact, only to bump right into our boy who stayed behind to check on her. She offers her sincere thanks to her savior. Our boy acts casual, clasping his hands as if praying for those doves, implying they would have been soup ingredients if her emergency hadn't interrupted his hunt. Despite surviving the most embarrassing moment of her life, the smell of delicious ribs hits her hard. Her stomach rumbles again, but this time, it's pure hunger. Our boy enjoys his meal, but notices her staring. Seeing her try to politely refuse despite clearly drooling, he decides to be generous and offers her a bite. Despite her suspicions about her dangerous dining companions, the aroma is too tempting to resist. One bite is all it takes for her to completely forget her hostility. These ribs are amazing. When the leader asks about her identity, our boy casually lies and claims she's his sister. However, hearing his voice triggers a terrifying realization in her mind. Terrifying flashbacks of a masked arsonist flood her mind, and she realizes exactly who he is. Meanwhile, our boy shamelessly misinterprets her horror as being stunned by his good looks. The fear is bad, but remembering she once had an embarrassing accident while he carried her is worse. The shame is too much to bear, and she passes out cold, leaving our boy wondering if the ribs were the culprit. With the comedy over, the atmosphere tightens. While casually continuing his meal, our boy identifies his dining companion as the Black Rabbit Union leader and the unconscious girl as a high-ranking heavenly general. The leader scoffs at the sister lie and brings up their 10-day deadline, testing his opponent's confidence. It's clear this isn't just a friendly meal, it's the prelude to a showdown. Just as our boy declares he'll finish things early, the girl suddenly snaps awake. In a bizarre twist, she politely thanks the villain for the meal before sprinting out the door at Mach speed. Our boy is back at it with the intimidation tactics. With just a pointed finger and a whisper of, "You die in 10 days," he sends the poor guy running for his life, screaming about how terrifying this lunatic is. Switching modes instantly, our guy finishes his meal and tells the staff he's heading out for a casual stroll, acting as if he didn't just traumatize someone moments ago. Walking through the town at sunset, the movement reminds him of the Nimble Guild, from his past life, a group of eccentric speedsters he's actually hoping to run into again in this timeline. He runs into Gunpyeong, who greets him with a wide grin. Now that they're on the same side, the formalities are dropped, and they get straight to discussing business regarding the Black Rabbit clan. After confirming the area is secure, our boy asks about Seongti. Gunpyeong can't help but chuckle, revealing that Seongti is currently trying his luck sparring against Master Sima with a wooden sword. Of course, this sparring is basically just a public beatdown. Seongti getting humbled has become quite the spectacle, drawing a crowd of amused onlookers every time. Our boy then casually tosses a heavy bag to Gunpyeong, whose eyes nearly pop out when he sees the gold bars inside. Jaha simply tells him to treat the crew to some drinks and make sure they don't overwork themselves. After handing over the funds, our boy waves goodbye and walks off, leaving his subordinate staring at his retreating back with a mix of shock and newfound respect. But just as he's enjoying the peace, a voice calls out his name. The sudden shift in his eyes suggests that this little stroll is about to get interesting. A group of unfriendly faces blocks the path, holding a /wanted poster. It's clear they've been hunting for our boy. Recognizing the Black Sea Wolf scum, our boy isn't scared, he's amused. He can't believe they traveled all this way just to cause trouble. The leader, Gozing Dok, introduces himself and starts listing our boy's crimes and the bounty on his head, trying to sound intimidating. He tries to hand over the warrant, but our boy refuses to even touch it. The unexpected rejection leaves the henchman confused and the atmosphere awkward. Trying to regain control, the leader offers a deal. If our boy comes quietly now, they'll call off the other assassins hunting him. Our boy ignores the threat and muses about his mood, claiming he actually wants to avoid killing today. But looking at those eyes, nobody believes that. He politely declines the invitation, promising to visit their boss later on his own terms. Then he asks the real question. Why are you in such a rush to die? The negotiation breaks down. The leader snaps at the disrespect, while his minions start sweating bullets, realizing things are about to get ugly. Seeing that smirk, the enemy leader finally realizes, our boy isn't bluffing. He's not afraid of death, he's looking forward to the fight. Accepting the situation, our boy prepares to head out. In this life, he plays the role of a noble master, but he knows that beneath the surface, the mad demon is still waiting to come out. As the boat sets sail, our boy is in high spirits. He waves goodbye to the shore, joking that he's just an errand boy off to make some quick cash, looking completely unbothered by the danger ahead. But as soon as he turns around to face the enemy guides on the boat, his mood shifts. He stares at them with pure disgust, openly asking why they look so undeniably hideous. It's not just a random insult. Our boy is genuinely curious. He wonders if their ugliness is a side effect of their dirty souls, twisted by years of witnessing and participating in the slave trade. The brown-haired guy snaps in anger, but our guy just doubles down, mocking their twisted logic about making money to buy slaves. The crew bursts into laughter, thinking he's just cracking a dark joke. The laughter dies instantly. Our boy's face twists into a terrifying, bleeding mask of pure rage, making it crystal clear that he wasn't joking, he's losing control. Realizing they are trapped on a boat with a monster, the crew starts sweating bullets. Under the suffocating pressure, one of them finally gathers the courage to ask if they have any chance of surviving this. Our boy doesn't give them a straight answer, staring off into the distance instead. Leaving the peaceful life of the inn seems to have triggered something, and he can feel the old madness rising within him once again. Facing the desperate pirates, our boy offers a devilish deal. Fight amongst yourselves, and the last man standing gets to walk away alive. Without a second thought, the pirates turn on each other. The deck erupts into chaos as they tear each other apart, desperate to claim that single ticket to survival. When the dust settles, only one blood-soaked survivor is left gasping for air. Our boy keeps his word and spares him, mostly because he needs a guide for what comes next. Using the survivor as a guide, our boy casually gathers intel while sailing straight into the heart of enemy territory, the ancient Black Sand Fortress. As they dock, guards immediately block the path. The survivor thinks fast, claiming he's returned with a prisoner as ordered, while our boy plays along, acting the part perfectly. Walking through the base, our boy holds back his rage, but his gaze turns icy when he sees innocent women and children living in fear among the bandits. As they approach the main hall, whispers of Yahello spread through the ranks, turning the bandits' arrogance into pure panic as they realize who just walked in. The doors swing open to reveal the leadership, a group of elderly men sitting on high chairs. Our boy can't help but scoff internally at this bunch of ancient geezers. Oblivious to the danger, the guide proudly kneels and announces he's brought Yahello as ordered, completely unaware he's just delivered the Grim Reaper right to their leader's face. The moment he steps in, some old guy tries to order our boy around. Big mistake. One casual backhand later, and the man is sent flying across the room before he can finish his sentence. The body hits the floor with a heavy thud right in front of the sect elders. Completely unbothered by the shock he just caused, our guy casually takes a seat in the center of the hall. One of the elders explodes in rage, screaming at the disrespect, but the calm one in the middle raises a hand to stop him, sensing there's some business to discuss first. The calm elder decides to play the diplomat. He confirms Jaha's identity with a fake smile and brings up the small matter of the members our boy killed recently, trying to assert dominance. Their demand is simple: cut off a finger and pay 100 gold pieces to settle the debt. The sect leader on the throne nods along, acting like they're being incredibly generous. Our boy almost laughs at the absurdity. He doesn't hesitate for a second. Pass. I don't have that kind of money, and even if I did, you wouldn't get a single copper. When extortion fails, they resort to threats, promising to go after his family. Jaha's eyes go cold, but he grins. Too bad. I don't have any family left. The villains double down, threatening to take the money from the innocent townspeople instead. That wipes the smile off our boy's face. Now they're just getting on his nerves. Since talking is over, Jaha gives them his own offer. That elder can crawl over and lick his feet right now, or everyone in this room dies. Staring at these fools who have a death wish, our boy lets the madness take over. His pupils start swirling, revealing the true face of the crazy demon that strikes fear into the martial world.